Welcome, gentlemen, to the very first episode of the Self-Actualized Man podcast. I am your host, Weston Zink, and I really would like to thank you for joining me on this journey towards becoming a self-actualized man. I look forward to meeting, connecting, challenging, and growing with each and every one of you as we come together as a community of men willing to step into the arena of life and become the greatest men we can be. I always appreciate feedback on how I can address your personal issues and concerns, satisfy your needs, as well as to improve my work to spread the light of knowledge of masculinity to men and women throughout the land. So please join me at my Facebook page at the Self-Actualized Man, or feel free to email me at the Self-Actualized Man360. That is the Self-Actualized Man360 at gmail.com. Now, firstly, I want to get into a little bit of kind of letting you know what the Self-Actualized Man is all about and kind of who I am and where I'm coming from. So kind of what really got me motivated into doing this work of helping men understand their masculinity, to improve their lives and understand relational dynamics between men and women, is really to help heal men, to help men become great again. So really I started off with being the traditional standard beta male nice guy. I was in a relationship for 3 years, and when I finally moved in with my girlfriend at the time, I wanted to be the best domestic partner that I could be. So I thought, well, what women want in a guy in an intimate relationship was, I'll do cooking and I'll do cleaning and I'll, help her around the house, right? 50-50 equality. I'll take care of her dog, all the while going to school. She was working as a manager at a franchise restaurant, so she was working about 12 to 15 hours a day. So, I thought, well, she's putting in a lot of hard work and effort into her career that, I want to be a good provider for her. So I, of course, ignored the red flags, like most of us did before we kind of started to waken up. And she tried to break off the relationship, and as much as I hate to admit it now, I desperately begged her to stay and pleaded, hey, let's work on this. Let's work on these issues between you and I so we can make this relationship work. So I sought to improve myself, but essentially I was just repeating the same beta male tactics, and she quite literally really did nothing. She did no work on herself in that. So I had that night of a rude awakening, as I like to call it, which still sticks me really deep in the heart today. 5 years ago is when it happened. We're laying in bed one night and she speaks to me and says, I love you, but I don't want to be with you anymore. And I have to say, that definitely struck a pretty good arrow right through the heart. A big piece of it, as in the aftermath, is I was really personalized a lot of shame, believing that, I'm not good enough. I got caught into that mental masturbation trap of what ifs and shoulda, coulda, wouldas. Well, what if I only did this better, or what if I only said this, or what if I only did that? And also, I was also really, like I imagine most of you were, very confused, because I was doing everything I was taught about being a good man in a relationship with a woman. I took care of her, I provided, I helped her around the house, and I was also emotionally sensitive to her needs. Now, kind of through my process, I started to awaken to modern female nature and psychology, stumbling upon red pill communities such as Roosh V at the Return of Kings, Sandman, Stefan Molyneux, Tommy Sotomayor, Turd Flea and Monkey, and MGTOW 101. And, what I really liked about listening to these guys who've been through something very similar was that they were calling out women and feminism for what they've become, which is toxic and absolutely dangerous to the mental health and well-being of a man. And also I think a lot of it is, after this breakup, I was really pissed off. I was really, really angry. And these guys also were really, really angry. And I can definitely see that kind of camaraderie in the group of we're a bunch of really angry guys that feel as if we got really fucked over and treated very disrespectfully by women. However, what I didn't like for some of these guys was the solution, which was essentially to check out of relationships with women altogether. And while I definitely agree, and this was true for myself at the time, is it's definitely a very rational solution, it's also very reactionary to the massive dysfunction between men and women. So what I wanted that I didn't feel like I was getting, and what I want to offer to you is, not necessarily a means to just we'll be sitting here harping on women and feminism, but how I can help you reclaim your masculinity, actualize masculine principles and potentials in every aspect of your life, particularly in a relationship with women. And essentially, I want you to be the best man you can be, and I want you to succeed at what you really, really, truly desire in this life. A huge big piece of it, though, for me was I had to accept my beta male mentality. As much as I was hard to admit personally, I had to do a lot of the therapeutic work. Now, I went through graduate school during this time with this breakup and the aftermath, and through that I really started to understand underlying motivations and processes behind me being a beta male. A lot of this was really tied into childhood family dynamics in my life. But then it was also reflecting on, okay, now that I know, how can I improve myself and how can I move forward to improve my life and my relationships? So to start this off, I like to do some intention setting and explore the power of intention setting. So according to dictionary.com, intention is defined as a noun, a act or instance of determining mentally upon some action or result. 2, an end or object intended or a purpose. 3, intentions. A, being the purpose or attitude towards the effect of one's own actions and conduct. An act or fact of intending. Or 5, meaning or significance. So I found that intention setting is a very vital practice for a man, for wherever his intention goes, his thoughts, his actions will follow. And seriously, think about that. Man uses his intention to guide his will, and from that will stems all of his choices and actions. With an enduring will, no matter what, I believe the challenges any man faces presently in his life, he will find a way through the darkness, if that is intention to do so. So given that intention is a powerful guiding force in everything we do, I like to do some intention setting with y'all to let you know how Self-Actualized Man podcast sets itself apart from the pack, and how I can help you better understand who you are, actualize your masculine potentials, and optimize your life to live with deeper meaning, principle, and purpose. So my first intention is to help men actualize their innate potential and optimize their lifestyle, to help create opportunities for success, growth, and abundance. And I strongly believe that deep down in the heart of hearts, we truly want to succeed. We truly want to know how powerful we really are and what we can really do. So what is self-actualization, and why is it important for man to optimize his lifestyle and potential? So according to American psychologist Abraham Maslow, who formulated the concept of self-actualization in his famous concept of the hierarchy of needs, which we'll definitely explore in more detail in a later podcast, he emphasized humans' intrinsic desire for growth and a motivation towards fulfilling its potential and engendering deep meaning and purpose in life. So again, deep down in the hearts of all men, I truly believe you desire to actualize your potential, to know your true power, the capability and capacity to endure and overcome personal challenges. I truly believe that you do not fear success, that you crave it. I think we doubt ourselves because we are ignorant of our true potential and who we really are as men. We hate people telling us what to do, and yet we fear the responsibility for creating our own lives. The self-actualized man seeks to help men become the best they can be, and to delve into the arena of fear that is holding many of us back from being truly outstanding in our work, in our relationships, in our families, and in our communities. So time is our most precious commodity. Once lost, you can never get it back, and one of my greatest fears is dying with regret. I don't know about you, but when I really look back on my life, is I do not want to live with the regret of not taking risks, for wasting so much time on meaningless things such as video games or television, for missing opportunities to grow and to connect and to succeed in my life endeavors. You know, I see so many men. I got many of my friends. They are very intelligent. They're very strong. They're very creative, and yet they squander their potential on useless things, such as video games, porn, social media, television, chasing cars, chasing clothes, working jobs they hate, and essentially floating through life like a turd in a toilet. And you may be this man, and if you are, I know in the heart of hearts, this is not where you want to be. So this is why it's important to have man optimize his life, to stop wasting his most precious commodity, and to start creating a life to actualize his innate potential that's deep within his heart and soul. So here to explore this, we're going to explore 7 different values areas of life, which is the mental realm, the physical, the spiritual, the social, familial, occupational, and the financial and material aspects of a man's life. Big piece of how to optimize it is to identify practical strategies, skills, and habits that is integral for a man to help actualize and optimize each of these value areas. The second intention of the self-actualized man is the development, the psycho-spiritual development of masculinity. So probably one of a real prominent quote that really stands out to me in the movie Fight Club is from Tyler Durden, who, quote, "We're a generation of men raised by women," end quote. And far too many men today have been raised by women. Single mothers, grandmothers, aunts, and few too men have actually been raised by strong, masculine role models, fathers, grandfathers, particularly to answer the questions that burn in the hearts of every young boy. What does it mean to be a man? What does it mean to be a man in a relationship with a woman? And what makes men great? With asymmetrical attacks on men these days, distorting and destroying masculinity and femininity through propaganda that we have all seen is absolutely saturating mainstream media and Western culture, generations of men have been lied to about their masculinity and have forgotten what it means to be a man. Both men and women have lost the knowledge and the wisdom and the understanding of the ineffable power and potential of what I like to call the divine masculine and the sacred feminine, and the symbiotic and powerful relationship that results from the two fusing together. Again, men need women to become great again, just as women need men to become great again. And here at the Self-Actualized Man, we explore the psycho-spiritual awakening and development of masculinity from philosophies of self-mastery and self-reliance. So self-mastery is the process by which man gains knowledge, wisdom, and understanding of himself, his masculine nature, his strengths, weaknesses, and, more importantly, holding his position and holding to his principles in relationships with women. He is a man who creates his own life and is the leader of his own destiny. He is not a man who is dependent on authority or women to tell him what to do, say, believe, and think. Self-mastery is the process of cultivating self-discipline, which is to become a master of your thoughts, your actions, your primitive impulses, and your emotions. But self-mastery, gentlemen, is by no means an easy path. It's filled with a lot of darkness, a lot of loneliness, demons, and enemies of many kinds. It is a path very few are willing to take, and even fewer who actually see this path to the end. But I want you to know, guys, you're not alone. There's a lot of men out there who are suffering just as you are. Was one of those men, and in one sense still am one of those men. But I understand that in order for me to become a master of my own life, I need to have self-reliance, which goes hand in hand with self-mastery. So here we encourage men and support men who are willing to step into the arena to learn how to become a sovereign authority over his life. We're here to explore strategies and skills that help men become more self-reliant. This goes from building your physical strength and survival skills to mindfulness techniques to help cultivate that mastery over mind and emotions, to also how to become a ruler of his kingdom and his empire, to how to build a kingdom and empire in which will survive and leave a legacy for his family. The third intention of the Self-Actualized Man podcast is to explore what I like to call the masculine ethos, the ethics, principles, values, virtues of masculinity. So, I know you're all aware of that the moral and ethical principles and virtues of Western civilization have been gradually eroded over the last 60 years and really have been replaced with these superficial and vacuous constructs and values. We have become a nation of demoralized and dispirited men and women, and we're wandering aimlessly like hordes of zombies. And here is where, when you look at zombie movies, there's a very real symbolic metaphor in that, which is saying the masses of people, they are physically alive, but mentally and spiritually dead. And we continue to see further devaluation and eroding of the gender relationships. But more importantly, we as men, we've lost our ethos, our code of conduct, an arena to test our courage, our strength, and our intellect, which these have served culturally as foundations to warrior cultures across human history. This is the art of combat, the art of duty, the art of war, the discipline, and honor, which created a bond, often stronger than blood, between men, whom they would call my brothers in arms. And I think we as men really do not have that anymore. Bonds with other men, camaraderie of other men, a group of other men in which you are willing to die for and that you refuse to let down and they refuse to let you down. That is something that has been, the male space for that has been something that has been utterly destroyed in our society. So, we got to recreate it. And the Self-Actualized Man community was served to create a masculine ethos, a brotherhood of men, to spread knowledge and wisdom of the masculine ethics, principles, values, and virtues, so every man can integrate these as foundational aspects and guides to his life and carry these into every single thing that he does. Of course, we live in a society which encourages men and women to sacrifice their morals and principles for fame, for money, power, material stuff, which is only further leading to the moral corruption and cultural destruction ever present in our society today. And to be honest with you guys, to be a man of principle, to be a moral person, to be a virtuous person is in great need and very short supply. And something I really see a lot in today is that, men and particularly women are really craving leadership. And unfortunately, we're seeking this leadership in empty and corrupt political leaders and demoralized social idols. Deep down, I believe what we really seek most is to become leaders of our own lives, leaders of our own careers, leaders of our relationships, leaders of our families. We really seek to become men of principle and to teach others these principles and virtues would make both men and women great. And it is crucial. We're in a crucial time, guys, that we need strong, determined, masculine leaders in our society today. Or else we're just going to keep following the same two-party bullshit system. And nothing is going to change. Nothing is going to change in our lives. Nothing is going to change in politics. Nothing is going to change in our relationships until we make the changes within ourselves. Another intention that I want to explore with y'all with the Self-Actualized Man is the war against fathers, sons, boys, and men. So all men, We are entangled in a culture war, whether you realize it or not, that is penetrating deep into the realms of human consciousness. Masculinity was once revered as an honorable and noble in the role models of boys and young men, and is now perceived as something that is dangerous and an oppressive threat to the greater good of society, particularly women. And of course, the cultural solution to this problem has been to destroy the multi-dimensional foundations and principles of both masculinity and femininity. So again, whether you're aware of it or not, whether you believe it or not, and whether you seek to participate in it or not, there is a systematic war being waged to destroy fathers, sons, boys, and men. We're being attacked on all fronts, physically, spiritually, mentally, socially, culturally, legally, economically, and of course, very present in the school system today. And with these results, to be honest with you, these attacks have been quite successful at eradicating and emasculating men and destroying the foundations of the nuclear family and marriage. And I don't really believe that this is just random coincidence, because this seems to be a very massively and well-orchestrated covert attack on masculinity. So I come to the reasonable conclusion that there must be some reasons and intention behind it. And if you really think about it, if you look back through the course of human history, who were the individuals and groups involved in every single war, revolution, or mass societal shift? It's always been small groups of well-organized and disciplined men who orchestrated and imposed their will to elicit mass changes that we read in our school book history books today. Alexander the Great, the French and American revolutions, the industrial and technological revolutions, World War I and II, the rise and fall of communism, the samurai, the Spartans, the Roman Empire. All of these great wars, civilizations, and revolutions were not the result of the masses. It was the result of very intended, ambitious, intelligent, and fiercely determined small groups of men. So I believe that what I like to call the shadow government, or the hands that operate behind the scenes of Western politics and economics, I think they, be honest with you, I think they realize just how much a threat small groups of well-organized, influential, and unwavering men are to their agenda of domination and control. And one brief example I can see of this was when, I believe it was when Roosh V in either 2014 or 15 went to speak in Toronto, and there was massive media attacks and massive protests, if you want to call them that, to shut down the groups of men coming together to discuss the issues facing them. They're afraid. They're afraid of men who stand by their principles and put their money where their mouth is. They're afraid of men who are awakened to the men behind the curtain and are willing to speak out against it and willing to stand up and do something about it. Here at the Self-Actualized Man, we seek to expose this asymmetrical warfare being waged against men and also women. But more importantly, to explore how we as both individuals and collective can actually start to take direct action to become leaders in the lives of others, our own lives. And last but not least, the last intention that I really want to emphasize to y'all guys in this podcast, and I really appreciate y'all staying with me, is the relationship between the divine masculine and the sacred feminine. Now, I think this reason is the most important reason why I started the Self-Actualized Man podcast, and that really is to heal the divide and the disconnect and the distrust that has occurred between men and women. I think in the hearts of both men and women have been gravely wounded. Many of us have had our trust grossly violated. We have been traumatized by the ones we love most. And instead of grieving our losses and healing our hearts, we've both been shamed for these things happening, as well as we project our anger, fear, pain, and suffering onto others, which creates this nasty self-perpetuating, self-fulfilling prophecy that just only furthers to divide men and women. Both men and women really, I think we really both need deep mental, emotional, and spiritual healing and awakening in order to rebuild trust, mutual support, and stability between the genders and in families. Now, I'm not postulating that men should become Captain Save-A-Ho, or be putting pussy on the pedestal, or be a beta male. I do not excuse the past behaviors of women, and I expect them to take responsibility for their actions, just as I expect us men to do the same. I do not condone whatsoever the hypomasculine beta male mentality, nor do I excuse the more hypermasculine, aggressive mentality in relationships with women, but instead, here I seek to help men better understand gender and relational dynamics to really help actually deepen and strengthen their relationships with women. Men want women, not girls. And women crave men, not boys. Women need strong masculine men just as much as we desire nurturing feminine women. Men yearn to find a woman who is beautiful, caring, kind, who trusts his leadership in the relationship and who supports his dreams and aspirations. And women are hungry for a man who's powerful and dominating in the relationship, yet at the same time, who will hold them close and to protect them when they're feeling hurt or scared. This doesn't mean that we're going to tolerate the nagging of women. That's powerful and dominating part. But what this does mean is that when they are hurt and scared, that we will protect them. We'll hold them close. The self-actualized man holds the belief that as we become great, we unconditionally allow women to do the same. And we can demand that from women. And I think that's really prominent right now as we're seeing kind of as the backlash and results of feminism on one hand and the MGTOW on the other hand, is women are starting to realize that holy shit, they got kind of a bad deal with feminism. And I think when we become great as men, well, women, if you want to get a quality man, you got to be a quality woman. And that we are going to demand that from you. When we actualize our divine masculinity, I think we give women the permission to bring forth their sacred femininity. And when both of these forces come together in a symbiotic relationship, I think they really create a more powerful and constructive dynamic that both never could achieve separately. Many of you guys know the life of a man at times can be cold and lonely. And honestly is the woman who offers her warmth and comfort, which gives us the motivation to push forward through the darkness and to find the light. So, in conclusion, I know deep in the hearts of hearts of each and every one of you, you want to be the best man you can be. You want to know your true power and your strength. You want to know what you're really fucking made of. You want to know what pain you can endure and what challenges you can overcome. You're hungry for adventure. You crave danger and risk. And deep down, you want to define your sense of purpose and integrity to justify and understand your existence on this planet. If only within your own heart, you want to know who you are and what you believe in. I don't claim to have all the answers or solutions to the problems facing you personally or the modern man in society. I'm just a man just like you who's on his journey to find his masculine heart and discover his treasure, whatever that may be. And I seek brothers who too desire such an adventure. I'd really like to thank you all for tuning in to the premiere episode of The Self-Actualized Man, and I'm really looking forward to connecting with each and every one of you, exchange ideas, and engage in the art of banter and debate between fellow men. If you enjoyed this episode and want more, please like this video and subscribe to my channel. I appreciate all the feedback and topics you men want to explore and discuss, so please join my Facebook page at The Self-Actualized Man, and feel free again to email me at theselfactualizedman360@gmail.com. Peace out and take care, my brothers.